everyone, welcome to another episode of Project Analysis series, and today we'll be doing Lentor Central Residences. So I think this project is kind of under the radar because it has been overshadowed by Parktown as well as Alta, which is coming really soon in terms of their balloting. At this point of recording this video, actually this weekend we are going to do the balloting for Alta and Parktown. So if let's say your queue number for Parktown and Alta is not so good, then maybe you can consider Lentor Central in terms of investment and own stay, which I'll share more in the video later. So over here, right, Lentor Central is actually the second post-harmonized project in the Lentor Collection, and also in terms of the developers, it's the same group of people. We have Hong Leong and also Guacoland as well as CSC, which is also the main builder of Alta. So for Lentor Central itself, right, I think it's very interesting because what we're going to do for today's episode is we will pull out a lot of the other Lentor Collection projects in terms of their layouts and compare side by side as to whether this is a good development to consider in terms of your investment or own stay choice. So as I shared with you earlier, right, Lentor Central will be previewing real soon, and it's going to be on the 21st of February on a Friday, and the booking day will be on the 8th of March. So let's say if you're considering to buy Alta or Parktown, but when you got your queue number, it's not so ideal, right? Then this is one choice that you can consider in terms of your next purchase. So now we're going to look into the pricing analysis for Lentor Central. One thing that I really noticed about Lentor projects is that every time a new project is launched, the price will always go back to the day one price, such as like Lentor Modern was definitely the first project launched in the Lentor Collection, followed by all the other projects. You'll realize that even though they are launched at different times, right, all their starting price will usually go back to day one price of Lentor Modern. So this is very good for those people who are looking to purchase into the Lentor area because it doesn't give you a very huge advantage in terms of entering early, because every time a new plot of land is launched, you always have that benefit of going back into the day one's pricing, which I think is very interesting in today's environment. And also, if let's say you're looking at Lentor itself, right, I would say the pickup rate will not be the best, or will do like 70-80% like what we see in Ori, because this kind of places, the supply is very low, and every time when it comes to a new launch, it's always a few years, maybe 10 to 12 years, then they launch a new project. But for Lentor itself, like every half a year, a new project is launched, because there are a total of 10 plots of land, which I'll share later in the later part of this video. So I think there's a very high chance if let's say you were to put a check for Lentor Central and you want to buy a unit here, right, high chance that you'll probably get the unit that you want. So definitely this is something to consider if you're looking to buy a unit that is at a very affordable price in today's market. So as we are speaking now, prices actually just came out a few hours ago before I come for shoot. So I did a few of editing for the whole slides, and now I'm going to share with you more. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, right, the prices just came out. So over here is what I received just a few hours ago. So I just like throw in the figures, but below was previously something that my company has prepared in terms of the price matrix. So we have a rough gauge as to how much you'll be expecting to pay in terms of the different PSF that we have over here for the different sizes. But as we are speaking today now, right, the one bedroom will be starting from less than $1 million at $975,000 starting from. So in today's market, we don't really see much new launch that you can get below 1 mil. So for those people who are just starting out in your property investment journey and you're gonna start something small, this is a project that I think you can consider. So at 2001 PSF is the norm for OCR projects now. We see other Lentor projects such as Lentor Mansion, which is in the neighborhood, right, transacting as high as 2004 PSF. So buying into a project that is 2001 PSF is going back into day one's price of Lentor Modern, which I think is very attractive and is a very good opportunity for those people who are looking to purchase their first unit here in Lentor. So these are just some artist impression of the project itself. And over here, we have the project information. So a bit hard to see, so let me just zoom in. So over here, we have 477 units in total, and TOP would be somewhere in 2030, but I think it would be slightly earlier, maybe 2029, because definitely if the project is selling well, the developer will want to quickly build up the project so that the owners can get their keys and move in soon. Okay, so now let's move on to the location, site plan, unit distribution, as well as unit mix. So over here, right, we have the Lentor Collection, just a whole side view of the Lentor area itself. In total, we have 10 plots, of which 6 plots have already been launched, and most of it are already 80-90% sold. So over here is the project that we are looking at, Lentor Central. And if you take a look, right, actually the total supply inclusive of Lentor Central itself, there are a total of 2,954 units. Do you think it is an oversupply in the Lentor area? Actually, if you ask me, I feel it's not really an issue because out of all these 2,900 units, right, already like what I mentioned, 80 to 90% of all the projects there are sold already. So we are only having 173 units excluding Lentor Central itself. So the people over here are very receptive in terms of their pricing as well as looking to upgrade into this area. So over here, right, in Lentor itself, I feel that it's not really an oversupply because back in Treasure at Tampines at the east side, right, we already have one development that is 2,200 plus units. And of all the 2,200 units, even though there's a lot of supply out there, right, people are still making money. The owners there who are selling their units are still making money. So I don't foresee an oversupply in this area in Lentor itself, especially when we have a lot of upgraders coming up from the Yishun side, the Sembawang, Admiralty, Woodlands side that could consider Lentor in this new township that they want to stay in. As well as we are very close to Ang Mo Kio side, and Ang Mo Kio side we have a lot of $1 million HDB which they can easily afford and upgrade into Lentor vicinity itself. Okay, so for the Lentor collection itself, right, we will see that projects will TOP back to back. Maybe every half a year we will be having one project that TOP and collecting keys. So this is the timeline. And over here, what I have pulled out, right, is actually the potential people who will look into the Lentor township that is going to build up in the next few years. As mentioned earlier, right, there's not much new developments in the northern side of Singapore, and the last launch was actually Panorama in 2013. And Yishun, Admiralty, Woodlands, Sembawang, all these people will be the potential upgraders that comes from here, and there are a lot of MOP units that's coming up in this area. So Lentor is probably the area that they want to look into, you know, not staying too far from their previous place and still having a good facility and infrastructure that the government will be doing up in the Lentor side. And also with the North Coast Innovative Corridor, right, a lot of jobs will be created in this area, and there will be potential workforce of more than 100,000 people. And this will be the tenant pool that we are looking at in the future when we want to rent out your Lentor unit. Okay, so now let's move on to the site plan of Lentor Central. Very simple site plan. There's only two blocks of very tall buildings. One is 27 story high, one is 28 story high, and two facing. One will be the south facing, which is the park view, as well as the north facing, which is the empty land view, which will probably be a future residential, which we don't really have much information of it now. If you ask me, right, I would think that the premium will be loaded for more towards the park view side. So this side and this side will be the premium loading. And of course, for these units over here, I think they will be the cheapest stacks because they are facing the empty land, which will potentially become the next residential plot. So maybe by the time you collect keys, you will probably be facing construction coming up. We are not very sure when it will be. So this is something to keep in mind, even though you're buying at a cheaper price, but when you want to sell, there might be some difficulty and you might need to hold on for a little longer. And for these stacks over here, right, I would say that pricing wise, they are still good to buy because they are also pool facing. But over here, instead of just pool facing, right, we are also looking at the park view. So I think in terms of premium, right, this stacks over here will be the most expensive, followed by over here, then here, and lastly here. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Over here, we have the distribution chart. If you notice, right, we only have 1 to 4 bedroom units over here. There's no big units over here in Lentor Central. And I think if you really want to look into big units like 5 bedrooms, right, in the supply of the Lentor collection, we only have at Lentor Mansion. So those people who bought Lentor Mansion 5 bedrooms, I think that is a very, very good choice in terms of an exit strategy in the future because there is no supply of 5 bedrooms in the Lentor collection itself. But who knows, maybe the next 4 plots of land that comes up, maybe they might have 5 bedrooms. So there's something for you to consider as well. Okay? So now for the unit distribution itself, right, like many other Lentor projects, 2 bedrooms form the most of the percentage in the whole unit distribution, and we realized that actually the 3 bedroom and 4 bedroom have equal distribution. So in Lentor area itself, right, we do foresee a lot of upgraders coming into this area. So some people might look into 3 bedroom for investment, and some people might look into own stay. But for 4 bedroom itself, right, we are looking more towards the own stay profile over here. So maybe that's why the developer decided to do equal distribution of 3 bedroom and 4 bedroom. But in the future, I tell you, next time when the whole Lentor collection TOPs, right, we will see very little supply of 4-bedrooms in this area because, like what I said earlier, most of the 4-bedroom buyers, they buy for own stay. They don't really look into investment side. So in the future, when it comes to the resale market, we do see that there might be just a handful of units out for sale for the 4-bedrooms as compared to the 3-bedrooms. Okay, so now let's move on to the layout itself. So for the 1-bedroom analysis, let us take a look. For the 1-bedroom, there is type 1A and type 1B, and they are stack 11 and stack 6. Both are facing the empty land over here. Okay, total of 53 units in total, and in terms of their layout, they don't differ that much. They're the very typical 1-bedroom layout where the kitchen is at the side, living dining is one together, and the master bath is Jack and Jill concept. Only difference that I can see is basically just this balcony side where 1A doesn't have this part that's protruding out, so you have a better view, and 1B has this. So if you ask me, right, I would feel that stack 11, which is over here, would be slightly more expensive as compared to stack 6 over here, because stack 11, at least they still have the pool view, and they're still a bit further away from the residential plot, which is gonna be over here. And also one thing to take note is that the size of the 1-bedroom here in Lentor Central itself, right, is slightly smaller than the other launches in Lentor itself. So it means that the quantum is a bit lower. And in terms of rental yield, right, if let's say all of the units, all the 1-bedroom in Lentor itself are renting at the same rental rate, then definitely with a lower quantum entry, right, your rental yield would be higher. And also as of today, right, we got the starting price of Lentor Central. 1-bedroom is starting from $975,000. Very, very affordable. You cannot find anything that is at this price in today's market. And PSF is only starting from 2001 PSF. So if you're familiar with the Lentor Collection, right, you have noticed that Lentor Mansion actually transacted at 2,400 plus PSF at its highest. So imagine the price gap in terms of your profit that you can make if you were to just sell at what they entered at. But do you feel that the 1-bedder over here is an oversupply or undersupply? So I'm going to share more on this now. So if you are familiar with the URA ruling where they tightened the rules to control the number of shoebox units in the heartland, right? Actually, before this whole ruling came up, a lot of the new launch developments, if you notice, their 1-bedroom percentage in terms of their unit mix, right, is actually quite high. So these are the projects that I have retrieved out that were launched before the ruling came in, and you'll notice that their 1-bedroom supply, right, is actually quite high, 20.7%, 32% for Riverfront Residences, and Affinity at 36%. So all these are very small shoebox units, right, that was built by developer back in the past. But after this ruling came up, it actually controls the number of units that the developer can build in the project itself. So as developers, they want to make money, right? So of course they will want to do bigger units and do away with the smaller units. That is why we realized that for the projects that were launched after 17th of January 2019, the 1-bedder percentage is actually very, very small. Like in Trump Park, there's no 1-bedroom. In Emerald Katong, there's only 9.6%, and in Nava Grove, there's also no 1-bedroom supply. So moving forward, I would say that 1-bedroom supply in the whole new launch market will be reduced drastically. And if you own a 1-bedroom in today's market, right, actually in the future when you want to sell, there will be lesser supply in the market, and those people who can only afford a 1-bedroom will have to look into the resale market when you sell in the future. So that is good news for you. Okay, so now let's take a look, right, at this area itself. The closest that I can actually pull out data from, because Lentor itself is a very, very new township, so I will just zoom out and then look into the surrounding, which is Meadows at Pierce. We have 52 units of 1-bedroom over here. Okay, so now let's take a look at the supply of 1-bedroom and 1+ study in the Lentor Hill estate itself. So total supply in the 6 launches, we have 237 1-bedroom, which is only 8% out of the 2,900 units that we currently have in the Lentor collection. So with this amount, I don't foresee an oversupply in this area, and because it's a new township, definitely we do see many profiles of buyers over here. So for those people who want to kickstart their property journey, right, 1-bedroom is something that they want to consider. If let's say they stay around this area and they don't want to buy something that's too far away, then they have to look into Lentor side. And I don't foresee all the 1-bedroom selling at the same time, so I don't see much of of a competition in the future when you want to sell, because some people might be collecting rental in terms of their rental approach, and some people might buy for own stay. So let's say for those people that want to sell, right, I don't see that there's a lot of supply in the future when you want to buy into Lentor side. So to understand this area, right, we want to compare the rental yield for the nearby projects, which we will zoom out in terms of the map and look at Meadows at Pierce, which is the closest in the Lentor side, and we have 52 one-bedroom over there. And to be honest, not many units are for sale over here. So now we'll take a look at the estimated rental yield in the Lentor site for Meadows at Pierce for the 1 and 1 bedroom plus study. Average rental is about 2009 over here. And for the 2 bedroom, right, we are looking at about 3,500 in terms of rent collected for the 2 bedrooms over here. Okay, so now if you look into the exit strategy, if you were to buy into Lentor Central 1 bedroom 463 square feet, right, we realize that the size is actually quite close to Lentor Mansion's 2 bedroom at 527 square feet. And based on the price that was launched by developer at 975K, right, if you were to buy into the unit today, average rental based on the Meadows at Pierce at $2,900, rental yield would be 3.6%, which I think is very, very good in today's market, because anything above 3 to 3.5, I think is already very good rental yield for your unit itself. But for Lentor Mansion, right, based on the average price of about 1.2 that has been transacted, an average rental of 3,500, which we have seen in Meadows at Pierce, right, yield is only about 3.4. It doesn't really differ that much. So depends on your queue number. If you are able to get a good queue number and buy at a lower floor at a lower quantum, right, then definitely Lentor Central will have a good rental yield and exit strategy for yourself. But let's say if you want to make 200K for either Lentor Mansion or Lentor Central itself, right, I think it will be easier for you to exit from the 1 bedroom over here, because our starting PSF is only 2110 PSF for the 1 bedroom. Whereas Lentor Mansion itself, right, we do see transaction going up to as high as 2,476 PSF if I'm not wrong. So the jump in profit, right, if let's say today you were to enter at 2,110 PSF, imagine if you were to just sell at 2,004, you already make a very healthy profit already. As compared to Lentor Mansion, right, if those people that bought at 2,004, how much do they have to sell in terms of their PSF to make a decent amount of profit of, let's say, 200K? I think it will be close to like 2007, 2008. So yeah, I would feel that Lentor Central Residence 1 bedroom is something that you might want to consider if you want to start your first investment in property. This is somewhere that you can consider because it's a very low entry and a very good quantum with very good rental yield. Next, let's look at the 2 bedroom analysis. So over here, for the 2 bed, 2 bath, right? So over here in Lentor Central itself, they don't have 2 bed, 1 bath. The smallest they have is 2 bed, 2 bath. And they have 2 sizes, which is the 678 as well as the 689. So for all 3 layouts, if you notice, the most obvious difference is that the 689 layout is the traditional one where all the rooms are tucked to one side, whereas 2A and 2C, right, they are both dumbbell layout. But all the kitchens are enclosable, so it's all tucked to one side, which I think is gonna be quite good for the people staying here, because usually 2 bedroom we have the kitchenette which is along the aisle, but this one is tucked to one corner, and they even have this like mini small glass panel, so at least it's not too dark. I don't know how much light it will actually allow in now, but I think with this it will really help to brighten up the kitchen a bit. Yes, and if you ask me, right, in terms of which layout I would feel is more suitable if you want to buy for investment, I think 2B would be something that you can consider, because out of all these 3 layouts, right, the total number of dumbbell versus non-dumbbell layout is 53 units of dumbbell and 26 units of non-dumbbell. So in the future, when you want to sell in the resale market, if everybody were to sell, right, it's very common to see 2 bedroom in the dumbbell layout, especially in the Lentor Collection itself. So if you as a traditional layout seller comes into the market and release your unit, right, I think this will make a very lasting impression to the buyers who look into your unit when they come for viewing, because it's something different from the market where everybody else is also selling their dumbbell layout. So I would feel that this is something potentially have a higher edge against all the others. So now we want to compare the layout of the 2-bed 2-bath with the surrounding projects. And here I have put together Hillock Green, Lentor Mansion and Lentoria. If you notice, right, for all the kitchens itself, they are not enclosable. They are more towards like the kitchenette kind of style. So they are not very comparable in terms of the Lentor Central layout over here where we can enclose the kitchen. So if you were to ask me out of all these 4 layouts, right, I would feel that Lentor Central would be definitely more superior as compared to the other 3. But now we have these 2 other projects which have very comparable layouts with Lentor Central itself. Why is this so? It's because Lentor Modern itself, let's take a look, right? At the same size, we are still able to have a flexi room. And also the kitchen is enclosable. So with this, right, definitely is a more advantage, even though we only have 1 toilet lah. That's the downside of this layout. And for Lentor Hill itself, right, the kitchen will be very bright because we have this glass panel over here, which in Lentor Central we don't. We only have this very small panel over here. So that's the downside. But if you ask me, would you want to consider Lentor Modern and Lentor Hills? Sorry lah, these 2 projects both already fully sold. So if you want to buy a 2-bed 2-bath in today's Lentor area, right, I think that Lentor Central can be considered because these 2, even though they are more superior in terms of their layout, I feel that the quantum wise, we are still looking at very, very good attractive prices. Because you see, we're going back to the day 1 price of what Lentor Modern as well as Lentor Hills are transacting. Because you see, prices that are transacted is between 1.35 to 1.67, and for Lentor Hill itself is 1.36 to 1.52. So if let's say today you were to enter at 1.38 million, right, definitely you already have a built-in buffer because other units in other developments have already transacted at 1.52, at 1.67. And in the future, when you want to sell at 1.67, right, you already make the profit. But for the unit that has been transacted at 1.67 in Lentor Modern itself, right, will be more disadvantaged because they have to take a longer time to sell. And also, in terms of profit wise, I think it will be a bit harder for them to exit at the right price, that right profit that they are looking at. Okay, so now let's take a look at the 2-bed plus study. So over here, for the 2-bed plus study, they are all 786 square feet in terms of their size and all are dumbbell layout. So if you ask me, I would feel that 2E, right, there are 2 stacks, stack 4 and stack 15. One is empty land facing and one is park facing. Of course, park facing, we will be expecting it to be a little premium will be loaded to it because it has a better facing as compared to this one over here. But one thing to take note is what I really like is the glass panels over here as compared to this kitchen which does not have. So this kitchen will be more dark if you ask me, as compared to this 2 which has the glass, which will allow the balcony light to enter here and make the house more spacious looking and bright. And over here, we have the other 2-bed plus study, which is slightly bigger at 797 square feet. Okay, so next we're going to look at the comparison with the surrounding project, which is once again Lentor Mansion. At 786 square feet, right, Lentor Mansion is able to carve out an additional bedroom to make it into a 3-bedroom. So in Lentor Central itself, 786 is a 2-bed plus study but in Lentor Mansion itself, right, is a 3-bedder. Yeah, so this is something that I think in the future, people will come to compare because when they come to see Lentor Mansion and Lentor Central, both at 786, if they need an extra bedroom, right, then definitely buyers will go towards the Lentor Mansion side lah. But in terms of quantum and PSF, I would feel that Lentor Mansion's PSF is definitely higher than what we see and hear from the developer that's coming up for Lentor Central. So this is something that you might want to consider if you are buying for investment. Okay, so for the top choice for 2-bed 2-bath, right, would be the 2B type, which is at 689 square feet, stack 18. Why is this so? Is because in Lentor Collection itself, right, we do have a lot of 2-bed 2-bath that are in the dumbbell layout. So if you want to buy into Lentor side, right, definitely you need to buy something that is rare in terms of their layout and is not seen very prevalent in the whole Lentor Collection itself. So having a traditional layout like this is more appealing to the future buyers because when they come, they feel, this is something different. It's not like the other listing that I've been seeing, all dumbbell, dumbbell, dumbbell. And one of my colleagues actually went to calculate the number of dumbbell versus traditional layout in the Lentor itself, right? And we realized that the ratio is 7:2, as you can see over here. 718 versus 249. So buy something that is rare in the area, right, will allow you to exit with a better and happier profit in the future. Now let's take a look at the 3-bedroom analysis. So over here we have type 3A, which is 915 square feet, and we have two stacks, which is stack 7 and stack 12, pool facing and empty land facing. So they're both facing the same side but for stack 12 itself, we do have an extra pool facing. I really like the 3-bedroom compact in this area. Why is this so? Is because once you enter, there's this slight curve which, after looking at many resale units, I realized is actually quite a privilege to have this privacy, because you can still open the door and have the ventilation come in, yet you don't allow your neighbors or people who walk past your corridor to look into your unit directly and see what you're doing at home, right? So I think this is something that is very important in, let's say, if you're looking to buy into an own stay unit, this privacy is an additional bonus. So coming in, we have this kitchen that is full glass panel. So this means that when light enters into the house, it will make your whole kitchen very bright. And when you enter into the house here, you'll feel that the space is bigger as compared to if, let's say, this was a solid wall. Right, and kitchen we have a window. All bathroom have window as well, so it's very bright. And even here, along the walkway to your room, there is a window, so at least the walkway won't be so dark. And we have 3 proper rooms, very good size, and all tucked to one side, meaning it's full-fledged window. So this will be a very good entry for people who are looking to buy into Lentor side or even upgrade, because the starting from price for the 3-bedroom here is starting from 1.81 million at 1,984 PSF. 1,900 PSF in today's market, where do you see such price? Everything is definitely above 2,000 PSF already. But I think why developer actually price it at 1,009 is also to match up with the first day prices of all the other Lentor launches, because it's the same developer right? And also they are trying to have a sweet spot to entice all the Alta and Parktown buyers to come over and take a look and see what is there to consider in the Lentor side, because everybody all very hyped up about Alta and Parktown So maybe developer want to give a very good pricing and attractive price to attract all these buyers back into the Lentor side to take a look. So this is definitely something that is very attractive, and I think it's very easy and achievable for HDB upgraders in the area to buy into this quantum itself. So let us take a look and compare at the 3-bedroom layout with the other projects such as Hillock Green as well as Lentoria. If you ask me, these are the not so comparable layouts. Why is this so? Is because for the kitchen itself, Hillock Green, it does have a window and there is a glass panel, but overall this part is still a solid wall, so it will definitely not be as bright as what we see here in Lentor Central. And for Lentoria itself, the kitchen I would feel is more like an open concept as compared to, enclosable, and you have the dining area over here. So I don't know how you're gonna enclose the kitchen to be honest. And usually for 3-bedroom onwards, we do prefer enclosable kitchen because we expect more own stay buyers that comes in, and when they want to cook, they want to enclose the smell. They don't want the living room area to have the cooking smell So I think it's not so superior in terms of the Lentoria layout. And now we're going to compare the 3-bedrooms in the area that have comparable layout with Lentor Central itself. So let's start off with Lentor Modern. 3-bed, 2-bath, similar, but it's fully sold. It's at 969 square feet, slightly bigger than Lentor Central. But this is pre-harmonized. So when you harmonize it, I think it will be somewhere around the same size. In terms of the layout, one thing that is very good here is they still are able to give you a flexi room with this size, which Lentor Central is unable to give you. There's no flexi room, but here we have one. Lentor Hill itself, kitchen has window, which is gonna be bright. And also there is window over here, but there's a very weird DB box placed here. I don't know why but quite a weird layout. And for Lentor Mansion, I think it's very good because we do have the dry and wet kitchen over here, as well as a flexi room, and it's only 904 square feet. So it's everything very compact, yet you don't miss out on any flexi room, which can potentially use as a storage or as a helper room. And you have a wet and dry kitchen, which I think not many of the other units have. But one thing to look into is the transacted price for all these 3 projects. We are looking at 1.82 to 2.16, 2.139 and 2.159, but starting from price for Lentor Central is 1.81, which is like what I said earlier, back to the same story, back to first day price of Lentor Modern. So I wouldn't say that those people that bought earlier have a huge advantage, because today if you want to buy into Lentor side, you can still buy at the same price as what all the other people have bought at. Okay, moving forward, we will look into the 3-bedroom premium. And yes, so over here, right, for the 3-bedroom premium, the size-wise is very much bigger as compared to the 3-bedroom compact. It is about 161 square feet bigger, which translates to, if let's say 2000 PSF, a difference of close to 320k top up from the compact to the premium. So what you get additionally, right, is actually the yard space, home shelter, and one more WC lah. So for all these three things, you are paying about 320k more. But the overall layout, we do like it. It's not bad because they still have the glass panel over here, which makes the kitchen very bright, and the kitchen is actually quite big lah, with the yard space and everything. And one thing very special that I noticed, right, is that the WC here also got one window. I don't know why helper also need a window for their toilet lah, but okay, if the developer give them, why not just take, right? So in terms of layout, it's very good. It's very decent layout with all the rooms tucked to one side, and the living dining space is actually quite big with glass panel over here so that light will enter. The whole layout is very good, but the main thing that I want to bring out is that because of the size difference over here, right, I think if let's say if you have more money, I would rather you top up the money to buy into a 4-bedroom compact, which is only 108 square feet bigger only. Okay, so if you ask me in terms of their layout, I feel that there's nothing to complain about, but the difference in terms of their size from the 3-bedroom compact to 3-bedroom premium, right, is 161 square feet, which is 320k top up. And this would be very easy for HDB upgraders in the area itself to look into this project, because starting from price is only $1.81 million. And I would also personally think that the 3-bedroom will be one of the first few to go off because of the good attractive quantum and also the good layout. So if your queue number is good, I think this is something that you might want to consider. Okay, so now let's move on to the 4-bedroom analysis. So for 4-bedroom, we have the 4-bedroom compact as well as the 4-bedroom premium. So here we have the 1,184 square feet 4-bedroom compact. We have 4A as well as 4B. Both are park facing over here, and ultimately I think the only difference in terms of this is that the size wise there is one more extra bedroom, and we do see like a so-called walk-in wardrobe kind of concept over here lah, which is more preferred as compared to the normal wardrobe that we see in the 3-bedroom over here. The main difference I think is just that the living dining space definitely is a bit bigger, and other than that, nothing much to complain about. So I think the space wise goes more towards like the 4th bedroom as well as a bigger living dining area. So this will account to the 108 square feet difference in terms of their size. So if you are able to stretch your budget a bit more, right, to go for 4-bedroom over here, I think it is more preferred as compared to the 3-bedroom premium. Now let's take a look at the 4-bedroom premium in Lentor Central. The sizes would be at 1,399 square feet compared to the compact, which is 1,184 square feet. And the main difference I would say is that the living dining area is in a landscape layout and bigger balcony space. Kitchen wise, there is a longer kitchen, and over here is still glass, which is very good, so it makes the whole house look very bright, and kitchen is also bright. Our home storage is tucked to one side compared to the compact one, which is at the kitchen side with the yard space. And also bedroom 2 and bedroom 3 will have a shared toilet. Yep, so they have an additional toilet as well. So this can be considered as a junior master bed if you all want to use it, because it's directly attached to the toilet ma. And we also have the walk-in wardrobe. So one thing I really like about this layout is the huge landscape, 5.35 meter I think, which is very, very luxurious in this area itself. And some people, if they want the more atas feeling, I think they will go for this. But in terms of the quantum jump, it's easily close to 430k from the smaller 1184 square feet to the 1399 square feet. Okay, so I think this will be a bit harder for the upgraders to consider because of the difference in price, and it will take a bit slower to sell for this unit, but definitely it's not a very, very bad layout. So let's compare with the other 4-bedroom in this area, right? We actually are looking at Hillock Green as well as Lentor Hill. So Hillock Green, if you ask me, right, I think this layout is quite more superior than Lentor Central, because there is a actual junior master bed and it's in a dumbbell layout, meaning like, let's say if you have your elderly folks coming over to stay, right, then they don't want to stay together with the kids and all because like a bit noisy, then this is somewhere that they will prefer. Is more quiet and private, and they have their own toilet attached to it. And their living dining is also in a landscape layout, but it's a bit smaller. It's only at 4.99 meter. For Lentor Hill itself, the living dining landscape is 5.5 meter, which is definitely a bit bigger than Lentor Central. And also, in terms of the layout, I think it's very, very comparable because the home storage is both tucked at one side, and the kitchen-wise, they are all very big and also have a store, and they're also glass. But the glass for Lentor here is only like this much, but for Lentor Central is a bit bigger, so it makes the house look a bit more spacious. Okay, and the starting from price for the 4-bedroom compact is only 2.37 million. So this is something they can consider. Oops, wow, the PSF is so high. This is wrong. Sorry for the error. This is 2,000 PSF, not 20,000 PSF. Okay, so if you were to ask me, right, my top choice for the 4-bedroom series will definitely be the compact series because it is something that is more easily achievable for the upgraders in the area itself in terms of the quantum. And also, if we were to pull out the surrounding area, like Jadescape is the newest one in the vicinity, right, somewhere further up, you'll notice that those units, right, with the portrait living dining, which is at 1,259 square feet, right, the 4-bedroom, their ROI is actually 139% to 149% as compared to those with the landscape living, right, at 1,259, same size up, but their ROI is only 141. So this is something that you need to take note that actually maybe the people in the area there don't really fancy so much of a landscape layout. They prefer the portrait layout. So this is something that you need to notice when buying into different areas. What are the demand that the people in the area are looking at? Okay, so we have come to the end of the analysis for Lentor Central itself. I think this project is really under the radar for quite a while because ever since Alta and Parktown has been out and previewing, a lot of people actually put Lentor Central at the back and say, okay, that is probably the next backup plan if you want to buy into an investment or own stay unit. But with the prices being launched by the developer, I think it's something that's very, very attractive that even I am excited to bring my buyers to go and consider for own stay there. I think the 915 3-bedroom is really, really good and something that a lot of the people can start off with in terms of building their homes with their family as well. So yes, just to remind you, the preview date for Lentor Central is 21st of Feb and we'll be booking on the 8th of March. So if you're interested to find out more about this project, do hit me up. These are my details over here. So yeah, do hit me up. I can share more about this project with you and do some analysis and work on the figures and numbers and ensure that we enter without having much of restriction and we enter with a safety net for yourself. So yes, that's all for today and I'll see you in the next episode and probably it will be One Marina Gardens and I'm so excited for that project. So see you soon. Bye!